Welcome to this extended breakfast seminar, which is a technical forum on the latest thinking and practice related to IT infrastructure. The stated aim of which is really to leave people with less worried faces and raised eyebrows than perhaps they had at the end of the lease accounting breakfast seminar. I'll let you be the judge of whether we're successful with that. Firstly, I'd like to thank our hosts, Lawrence Graham, who kindly sponsored this event. It's the second such occasion this year, which is really greatly appreciated. At this year's Resolutions and Predictions event, I was astonished to see Delight refer to both virtual desktop and also thin client technology. And it seemed to us that if someone that's rooted in the finance and accounting fraternity is onto it, then we'd all better sit up and pay attention.
I think what's very interesting is we've seen a lot of interdependence between IT and property, and John Starling from Deloitte and Wakeman at Oracle will really start to talk about the new technologies that are evolving, which we think can start to result in a step change in the workplace. Those of us old enough to remember that when the extent of IT implications on real estate was putting quadrant desks in that could take a monitor screen, we'll realise that the world is moving on quite dramatically. Today's about a little bit around sort of thinking about that long-term planning. I was talking to a number of you in the coffee area outside, and a couple mentioned how they've already seen property benefits being used to fund the investment in some of this virtualisation that we'll talk about today. So we're starting to see that linkage, which I think is going to become more and more common.
I'm going to open this with a hypothesis that the traditional corporate workplace is dead. Right? Rather controversial on a Monday morning to come and present that to you lot. But really, when I say it's dead, I don't mean it is dead. It's just changing, and I think it's in a period of change, which is exciting. It's exciting as a user. It's exciting as an occupier. I'm sure it's exciting from a technology point of view. What cloud computing does is change the manner in which IT is delivered to end users. Yeah? Increasingly, people are going to become more comfortable, more familiar with accessing IT services that are not delivered by the IT organisation within that organisation. Yeah? Just grab this service, use this service. Yeah? Grab this service, use this service. The whole idea with desktop virtualization is to break the link between the user and the physical device that they use, and to be able to present to that user their desktop workplace, their desktop environment, their windows, their applications and their data in a way that is independent from the physical location of the device that they want to use. When we talk about mobility, it's not about just having email. It is organisations want to enable their users with corporate applications. So implications for corporate real estate. I mean, increasingly business will be conducted outside the office. Yeah? I'm not saying the office is going to go away. Yeah? But most importantly, I think organisations, users are going to look for, as they are mobile, to seamlessly transition between a fixed workplace and a mobile workplace.
And there are two different camps with various degrees of grey in between. But normally you have those who can see the future and want to adopt the future and take a business-oriented approach, and there are those who want to protect what they have. But first, what is one of these things? Well, this is a totally dumb device. It's like a telephone, it's like a TV, you just plug it in and it works. It's a display device. It doesn't do any computing, it doesn't do any work on your desk, all it does is just display what is actually produced from the desktop sitting in the data center. There's no disk in it, so that means there's no data on it. All it does is display what's held centrally. So, what is desktop virtualization? Very simply, instead of actually having stuff running underneath your desk, on a laptop, it's in the data center. That gives the user the actual device which suits their needs for where they are, where they're physically located. If I'm out on a train or whatever, probably a phone is the best device. If I have access to a wireless network, maybe a laptop is the best device. If I'm in the office, then why not use one of these? Just go and have some hot desk areas where I can go and work.
it's going to be just keeping up with the pace of change that end users are going to demand. So I think it's just going to be difficult for people, to deal with individual requirements that users have in a way that keeps people, productive, happy, engaged.
Potentially for our clients, it's a major impact. We certainly should be looking at this sort of technology running through for all solutions in the future.
Very interesting discussions this morning. For me, it simplifies some of the debate, I think, around cloud and the impact of cloud. Probably we've been well into it, perhaps more than I thought. So for me, it's simplified the process, so it's been very useful.
Cloud computing, thin technology is here to stay. In fact, we were just discussing Paul, the way the future is going to go, particularly on the effects it's going to have on the real estate. My view is that the market, the recession, has compressed spending in this IT area. We're going to see an elastic band approach where there's going to be a lot more take-up over the next couple of years, both in new technologies and the outsourcing of processing through the cloud and using web-enabled software. So, very interesting subject, absolutely spot on.
Virtualization is a really important technology for real estate people, simply because if you introduce virtualization, it means the desktop becomes very free. People can move around the office and you can actually reduce your real estate by 25 to 30%. That's even if people don't need to work outside the office all the time. So it's an important technology for real estate professionals.
It's a dedicated facility that hosts IT equipment, and that IT equipment provides all of your core business process services. It hosts your data, provides your external connectivity, how you connect to partners, how you connect to the internet. Increasingly it now will host your IP telephony, your telephone system, and potentially your desktops as well, your virtual desktops. So a data center is clearly a substantial investment, and we're seeing more and more of our corporate clients turning to the wholesale and retail market to acquire data center services from third parties. So they'll run their own data center but co-locate them into a third party will provide that. So more and more corporates are moving towards centralising data centres. These are large data centres where you can invest more to run those centres to a high degree of.
I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about our green data centre, the challenges, the solutions and the compromises we made when we built our facility in Frankfurt. This is actually part of our corporate consolidation programme, going from 9 data centres down to 2 in EMEA, and exactly the same happening right across the world for City. Every region, so that's North America, Latin America, Asia Pacific and EMEA, trying to consolidate down into the minimum number of data centres. Cost optimisation is very key, and that cost optimisation does have to look at both cost in use, cost of construction, cost of decommissioning. Energy is a very big thing, so energy efficiency is important, and as equally important now, and at the start of this overall project, was minimising the environmental impact. And the interesting thing is to see actually that sustainability can add to the overall issue of performance. It can add to the overall issue of reliability, and it can assist in optimising that cost. Moving inside to the more technical things, we looked at things like water systems. We went down the route of reverse osmosis, water treatment, much higher reliability, reduced water cost, lower chemical cost, ongoing lower operational costs. You're not transporting chemicals and salt and God knows what halfway across the world. We do capture rainwater and we reuse on site. When we look at our cooling systems, and again working with our colleagues in TI, we now run our internal temperatures typically 5 to 7 degrees higher than a typical data centre, with higher chilled water temperatures and so forth.
Virtual and desktop bring a lot of advantage to the office environment, because clearly it puts more pressure onto data centres to place more equipment, and therefore we need to make making use of our data centre resources more effectively.
part of that, key part of that is to make sure IT professionals and real estate administrators working together to drive efficiency, not just at the facility level, but also to bring IT utilisation up and better metrics so that we can plan data centre space better, so that the facilities we do have last longer and we consume energy and our
The message is very much that sustainability can be supportive of the other primary requirements of data centres, that's reliability, performance, energy performance and cost optimisation. It can add to the reliability and the performance of the data centre and is complementary to those. That can only be achieved through integrating sustainably into all aspects of the building, from its design, inception, through its detailed design, its construction and operation. And again is requirement of close cooperation and involvement from all key stakeholders throughout the whole cycle.
Well, what a great event. It's great to actually talk to these people who really have an interest outside of pure IT. This technology can make a real big difference to the whole of the business environment. It's going to reduce costs, it's going to give users more flexibility in terms of their work, it's going to make them more efficient, it's going to change the whole environment in terms of where they work, and of course it's going to have a knock-on effect in terms of HR, the way they interact with the organisation, with the individual, and moreover the devices which are actually used. Really approach this with an open mind, look upon this as the real business benefits for the organisation, look at the benefits for the worker, the general individual, in terms of where they work and how they work, and I'm sure it'll be a great benefit to everybody at the end of the day.
I'm delighted to have been able to sponsor and host the event for Corners this morning. I think our speakers are to be congratulated to present on topics such as cloud computing and data centres, and presented in such a manageable and digestible form. I think we will find very, very useful.